67-year-old Newcastle man John Mario Cunningham has been a safe blower, a robber and a man of violence. 71-year-old Harry Smales of Aylesbury, Buckinghamshire, has broken the law only once, driving 3 miles an hour over the 30 miles per hour speed limit. John is one of the few inmates to have escaped from Durham Prison, and the only one to ever escape dressed as a woman. Harry was a sea cadet, joined the Merchant Navy and worked as a welder. After 67 years apart and a bit of recent internet research by family members, the pair have discovered they're brothers. The remarkable story dates back to 1941 to a terraced slum on the outskirts of Bishop Auckland in County Durham. Harry was 4 years old and John a babe in arms when their mother Eileen Smales and her partner Peter Cunningham were jailed for 6 months with hard labour for child neglect.
I can only go by the actual reports from the courts of that day, 1942, where the headlines say news from the courts in Bishop Auckland, where my mother and father were the defendants of a serious case of neglect. My mother pleaded not guilty. My mother pleaded guilty, and my father pleaded not guilty. And in the end, they were both given 6 months hard labour.
Harry was put into the care of the Barnardo's charity and grew up in its homes in Scotland and Essex. John was placed in a Roman Catholic-run orphanage in Tudor, County Durham. Their treatment and their lives after care could not have been more different.
I always thought I was placed in Tudor at the age of 4, Tudor Homes, which was the brutality place. But I learned later, looking after when we learned Harry was looking into his roots and his background and where he came from, basically. We started looking at the archives and that, and I discovered that I was sent to Medimsley, a place called Medimsley, which I believe is now a corrective centre.
It was, yeah.
And I haven't checked where it was then, but I believe it would be for neglected and injured children. That's what we strongly believe and what we've heard. But we can look and see it in writing, actually. And I happened to be kept there for till I was 4. And I've actually seen a report, which I've got, saying that this child is now ready for a home, children's home, for normal children. And I thought, well, what's that mean, normal children? And so I was actually 4 years old when I went to Tudor. Where Harry was, Dr. Barnardo's was more like a charity, government involvement, proper checks and that type of thing. Catholics were different. In other words, they obviously became out of control. I actually called the place I was in an abuser's paradise, because we couldn't turn to anybody. Somebody would with something stupid, maybe talking in what they call the refectory, what they call it, the dining area. That kid would be pulled to one side. Another 4 children would be stripped naked, be made to hold the lad down, forced to, other lads hold him down, where he was flogged with either, I've actually got John Boland's actually it was a birch, because I didn't know until I got older, a birch. I've actually seen them getting flogged with cricket stumps, while others were made to watch. And so that's right, you would tell the police, you know what was happening, and they took no notice. Stay back in. And as soon as they got you in, the first thing they would do, these are things you just never forget, the Sister Superior would drag you in this office in a big working pair of sharp scissors, and off came your hair. This before you got 2 days of floggings. They made in the dormitories. They made they moved the beds, and you had to polish it, and they would just come and just flog you as they wished.
What I can remember of it was very, very good. There were times when you got the cane, but looking back, I really didn't have no complaints about Barnardo's.
Because remember, nobody stands up at age of 15 and says, I'm going to be a criminal. It doesn't work like that. No. It happens. Yeah. Fate and circumstances.
The short time I've known about this, I can fully understand why he went into this crime. Because I never suffered like he had to suffer.
Now, after almost 7 decades, John and Harry have been reunited and held a celebration party at a hotel in Newcastle.
I just couldn't believe that I did have a family, because I'd known nobody. And to find out afterwards that I had brothers and sisters, it was just so emotional for me. It really was.
I'm not the type of emotional, but I have been quite excited, I will say, in that type of way, which is uncanny for me. But when you're meeting your own flesh and blood after 70 years, I mean, it's not the norm, is it?
I thought that was wonderful, absolutely wonderful. At last I can see him. I've seen photographs and everything, read about him. Now I've seen him and I've shaken his hand and cuddled.
They intend to keep in touch.